Good morning. We are again looking at Proverbs. Today is Thursday rather than Wednesday because I had a chapel service on Wednesday. And let's see, what is this Thursday? This is Thursday the 22nd. So Thursday the 22nd of January. Let's begin. We're in chapter 29, verse 21. Chapter 29, verse 21. If a man pampers his servant from youth, he will bring grief in the end. So there is a proper relationship between servant and master. And the proper relationship is that the master treats the servant with love, like Christ treated his people with love, but that the servant has tasks to do, and that the servant can't be allowed to be lazy or slovenly or laggardly or sluggardly, which was the big word used many times before in Proverbs. The servant needs to get his job done. And it is the task of the master, in part, to discipline the servant when the servant is not getting his job done. It is not actually loving or kind to a servant to not hold them to the standards by which they need to have for their chore. It's not good for anybody to not be held to the standards that they need according to their vocation. We learned this with children, that they need discipline, and that discipline is both an orderly way of doing life, but also punishment when you don't follow that orderly way of doing life. Servants also need structure. In fact, all people need structure. You and I need structure. And if my wife were to allow me to be a lazy husband, that wouldn't be good for me. She is not in the position of master over me, I think. But it wouldn't be good for me if she just let me be slovenly and lazy and made her do all the work. A problem we have sometimes in society where the women are doing much of the work that the men should be doing part of. The same goes the other direction, of course. You should not be married to a wife who is lazy and not doing those good vocational things which God has given her. We are not made to lie around in bed all day and eat bonbons, right? So here it speaks to the servant and the master, to the employer and the employee, to the parent and the child. In all our relationships, we should expect others to do the vocations that have been set for them. And we should encourage them in so doing. Moving on to 22. An angry man stirs up dissension, and a hot-tempered one commits many sins. This is a theme that runs through Proverbs. When you allow anger to fill your mind, when you're using what we nowadays call kind of those animal instincts, the primal instincts, well, they're not animal because they're inhuman, but that's the metaphor used. And a misunderstanding of human-animal relationships, but that's a different issue. When we allow anger to fill our mind, it blocks our ability to remember the things that God has given us, to use our reason and the gift of reason to look at his directions, and we start dissension. We tend to quarrel. When I am low on my diabetes medication, my wife says I am grumpy. This really means I am an angry person. And I realize this. I don't handle personal interactions as well. I don't handle having my will thwarted. And I react sharply and more intensely than I would if I were not angry. And because of that, it causes, interfamilial conflict. So here it's saying the same. If you're angry all the time, then you're going to cause conflict. And when you cause conflict, then you're not going to seek the best interest of others, and they're not going to seek the best interest of you, and you're not going to plan and follow the design of God, and many sins will happen. Sins caused by a conflict which wouldn't have started if you had taken a breath, calmed yourself down, and come at things from a perspective that would please God. Let's go to 23. A man's pride brings him low, but a man of lowly spirit gains honor. We know from the Beatitudes that blessed are the poor in spirit, for they shall see God, right? The second use of the law, as we look at the three uses of the law in the Catechism, is that it acts as a mirror to your sin, that it takes away your pride in your own righteousness and your own goodness, and it shows that you are in need of a Savior. And when you have pride, often called one of the seven deadly sins, but often called the deadliest of the seven deadly sins, the first sin, that I would like to be like God, that I can be like God. When you have pride, it interferes with receiving any discipline, any new information. It interferes with seeing things from anything but your own focused perspective, my own viewpoint. And so here it says, that's going to cause you to fall. Because you're a sinner, you can't see things perfectly and clearly. And when you go through your own perspective, you block out the voices of others, you block out the plans of God, you go according to your own designs, and that leads down to death. On the other hand, a person who is poor in spirit, who's saying, I need help, now you're looking around. You're looking various directions. You're listening rather than only speaking, Lord willing. And you get help from others. Plus, you let people know that they can help you and they want to help you. God promises he will help you. And so things go up because the mirror showed you needed a Savior, and now you've sought your Savior. Let's go to 24. The accomplice of a thief is his own enemy. He is put under oath and dare not testify. Okay, so the thief can do bad things to you, and you can't tell about it. Because if you tell about it, you're going to get in trouble. You become your own worst enemy. You become the blackmail on yourself. You can't stop him from doing evil because you're part of the evil. If you're part of the devil's kingdom, you're not going to stop the devil. When we're joining in the devil's mayhem, the devil's going to get away with doing mayhem to everybody. And you can run through this. This isn't hard to understand. When you are part of something wrong, you can't correct the wrong without receiving punishment, probably, for what you did. And so you don't correct the wrong, and then the wrong just builds and grows and keeps tumbling and falling. It's fortunate we have a Savior outside of us who saves us from evil, who frees us from that bondage that we put on ourselves by being a part of sin, and who frees us so that even if there is consequences, we will take them out of love for others and love for God, and frees us to be able to do that. We're going to stop there. We'll continue with our next video.